in my humble opinion, Chicago was supposed to be the new Atlanta. Chicago had so many people that was doing music, probably the early 2010s, you know what I'm saying, 2012, 2014, 15, even really up until now, to the point to where Chicago would have become a mecca. But instead, all of the artists died and went to jail. And you had exceptions. You had the Herbos, you had the Chief Keefs, you had the Durks, the King Louis. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't many people that actually made it out of Chicago. The most promising ones, they all died. The Pappies, the LAs, they all died. Or like, the 600 situation. Tay 600, he had smut on his name. Rondo and C-Day ended up, being taken out. KTS Vaughn ended up being taken out. JoJo ended up being taken out. So it's like the city of Chicago wouldn't let Chicago blossom. And we literally ended up with 10 years worth of dead bodies. The FBG Ducks. Even the King Vons. It's like a deep, dark cloud over the city of Chicago, right? So like I said, you had exceptions. And Durk was one of those exceptions. And not only was he an exception, Durk was the standard. Durk had become big. But the thing is, everybody don't know how to leave the streets alone. And just because you get money, that don't mean that you left the streets alone or know how or want to leave the streets alone. Leaving the streets alone is probably the most important thing that you can do after you acquire money. Just being honest. There's nothing wrong with pulling people out, but at the same time, you can't pull everybody out. We just gonna use Chief Keef as the standard for success coming out of Chicago. Seeing as though he left Chicago and the people that he was dealing with out of Chicago, which was O-Block, who was stealing from him, he let them go and he literally became the biggest influence in the United States of America. To me, to this day, because a lot of the artists that are influenced right now, or a lot of the artists that have the a multitude, or we just gonna say a broad level of influence, they were influenced by Chief Keef, the NBA young boys for one, motherfuckers like Kodak Black. These guys they were NLE Chopper. I mean, just look at it. Think about it. So Durk came behind Chief Keef, and when he blew up, he added a whole nother element to this shit. Like Durk just he did his motherfucking thing. You know what I'm saying? He got to a level of, I'm talking about damn near the biggest in the game. And now we're watching him having to fight for his life in a case to where this shit never would have happened. Now, in my humble opinion, the worst thing that could have happened to OTF was King Von. Rest in peace, Von. Von was the worst thing and the best thing, which is crazy. He was the best and the worst thing that could have happened to Durk. Why? Because Von brought a fan base out of this world. He had star power. But Von also brought a whole lot of bullshit with him. A lot of baggage. A lot of eyes that OTF didn't need. I felt like when Von went over there, because let's not get it mistaken. Von and Durk had the case before Von died. I think Bezu was on that case too. The feds wanted Von bad. They already felt like they knew about him having something to do with FBG Duck. They felt like he paid them to do that. They know he killed Malcolm Stuckey. and attempted to kill the other guy. They know he killed K.I. and shot Butter that day. He ended up making it out of all of that just to end up doing what he did, losing his life. I felt like he would have eventually end up going to jail anyway for something because they was on top of Von. Von even knew that. He showed us that when he was coming out of the airport and they was following him. Doing surveillance on him. Von was a live wire, man. And as much as everybody loved Von, we have to admit or adhere to the fact that Von was eventually gonna, like, if Von kept moving the way that Von was moving before he died, it was no way for Von to be successful. He was gonna have a brief, he was gonna be successful, but it was gonna be brief if Von didn't grow up and get up out of that mindset that he was in, that want to be street mindset and shit like that. But that same mindset is what got him taken out. Now, Durk allowed the internet, he allowed the streets to create a situation, or I ain't gonna say create a situation because the situation was created when Von died, but create a storyline, so to speak, and a narrative to where if you don't get back for Von, you a bitch ass nigga. No one looking at it like, okay, Von got took out in a whole nother state. This ain't no Chicago beef. Lil Ray Ray and Tony shooting at each other. This ain't that. We gotta cross state lines to get to these niggas. Which means either one, we gotta carry arms across state lines, or we gotta know somebody so that we can have access to guns when we get to these places. Durk allowed the crowd to become bigger than him. I'm gonna say that again. Durk allowed the crowd to become bigger than him. He allowed the crowd to mentally F him. To a point to where he does a DJ Academics interview and says, and I quote, "They're not saying slide for Von no more." He ain't seeing them comments no more. He ain't gonna see that no more. I wonder why. He said, I wonder why. He said, yeah, Chicago different. That aha. That none of that was called for. And now they're using those things against him. Durk tried to pull a damn near MC Hammer. What do I mean by that? Durk tried to take too many motherfuckers out the hood at once. And it hurt him. And now we've seen Durk has been locked up. It ain't been 2 years. A year and something. And the whole system has crumbled. Why? Because you were the system. See how it's supposed to work is, we got Durk, right? He's the head. But it's supposed to be well-oiled and functioning to the point that, well, if the head fall, we got somebody that's know everything. You know what I'm saying? He may not know the full business, but he's competent enough to step up behind him and take, pretty much keep things in order. At least while, the big man's down. Durk get locked up, OTF fall apart. The whole OTF. Everything just crumbled. And I felt like Durk, I'm not going to say wanted to be something that he wasn't, because he really was that. I felt like Durk felt like he had too much to prove. He felt like he had too much to prove to the streets of Chicago. And at the end of the day, like Chief Keef, you ain't had shit to prove or nothing. You ain't owe nobody nothing. Do what you can do. Grab who you can grab. But Durk wanted to be known as the voice of the streets. So when you wanted to be known for the voice of the streets, you surround yourself with the bullshit gonna always come back. The things that you're rapping about and admitting to, saying in your songs. This is the greatest form of self-snitching that we have today. But what I think that y'all keep failing to realize is that this ain't 2012 no more. Where the police ain't really hip to what's going on and they ain't knowing motherfuckers on Twitter beefing, admitting to all of their crimes. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really catch on to this shit. They didn't know what these accounts was. That's why all of it end up coming out because of certain platforms like a college kid. But believe me, the police back then, they didn't know that, they didn't know that they was basically admitting to murders and shit in these Twitter accounts. They found out though. But one thing I do know is you a major artist admitting to doing shit in these songs. Now, I felt like a lot of what they got against Durk is bullshit because at the end of the day, they're saying that basically Durk had these people killed or he had Pab killed for clout. Meaning, jury and Durk co-signing them like shit, basically trying to put them on. And the people that's on the case, who the fuck knew them? We knew Diddy. Ain't nobody know nothing about none of these other people. We ain't even know Vonnie like that. Yeah, I remember he said, Jam, get out that jam and give him 50. I got to ask again. But then nobody know no damn Jam. Before this shit, didn't nobody know none of those guys. Brown Eyes, none of them. So I'm trying to figure out how was he giving clout to people in exchange for hits. It's confusing to me. It looks like the feds are trying to build their case right in front of our eyes. Saying shit like that. But I think that that's what they want us to believe. I don't think that I think the feds got a lot more than that. But these witnesses, they need to try to prove that these witnesses are unreliable. They need to try to prove that these witnesses cannot be trusted. That's the only thing that I can see. Because Vonnie's one, we know for sure. We know Jam's one for sure. I feel like we still don't know what else is in store. I feel like they got more shit. Just to think about Durk getting a life sentence, man, it's crazy because it's like we've literally seen everybody die and go to jail. This is crazy. You niggas did it. He was too worried about what the streets would think about him if he didn't show love. And now that he's in the situation that he's in, everybody has turned on him. And if he does, God forbid, he does get convicted and sentenced to some fucked up numbers, he will live to see from in there that it was all a facade. That shit wasn't real, bro. It was just about what motherfuckers could get up out of you. That's what it was the whole time. So in my humble opinion, man, Durk got tricked off the streets. That's my conclusion. Durk got tricked off the streets because he couldn't handle peer pressure and he wanted to be accepted. Now that's my non-biased opinion. It's your boy, SN. I'm out.